Hello everyone, I'm back again for another update on the summit of Middle Mountain here, Shawvers Run Wilderness. Here I am back again. Just looking toward Potts, which is a mountain which is obscured right now due to cloud cover. The valley down below, between Potts and Middle, and then Peters Mountain on that side. The valley there, and the gap in Shawvers Run Wilderness between Middle Mountain and Little Mountain is in this direction. I will not be hiking there today. I'm just going to follow the ridge line northeast for a short distance and then start heading back down. My last video, I ended up getting picked up in Paint Bank, but going down into that valley down there probably won't do it again, because that field down below is entirely surrounded by a wire fence, and I was not sure if it was electrified or not. I had to detour around that whole area to get back to Paint Bank through the woods, and it was getting dark on me. I managed to get out beyond there just in time. It would have been tough navigating that in the dark. And I ended up getting picked up in Paint Bank because it was getting too late in the day to attempt to come down through that gap. And I do not have a signal through there to call to be picked up. So again, this is a spine of Middle Mountain right here. And I did walk here from home. The creek has come down enough to safely cross it again, but that won't last because we got a lot of rain heading this way for the next few days. Probably going to raise the levels again. So I came up here today. This will probably be the last chance without having to walk around. Get up here again. So it is only 2 o'clock. I do have some time to get back, so I'm just kind of rambling around up here a little bit before heading back down to the bottom and home. So today, what I'm going to talk about is a continuation of what I've not heard anybody else ever talk about, and that's MJO manipulation. I am the only person out there that has talked about it, or even is aware that that could possibly be happening. And again, MJO manipulation is an attempt to use the MJO to influence the jet stream to take a position that's going to bring consistently warm weather to the populated areas of the planet, in particular the eastern U.S. and eastern North America and Western Europe, to bring warm weather all winter long. Of course, this skews the global temperatures to appear to be much warmer than they really are, because this is where all the reporting, or a lot of the reporting stations are. And if they can keep the jet stream in a position that dumps all the Arctic air, mostly over the oceans, which covers 71% of the planet, it's not hard to do. To hide all the Arctic air and make it go out over the oceans and cause all the warm loops in the jet stream to occur over land masses that are populated by Westerners. that it's very easy to make the planet appear much warmer than it really is, because the positive anomalies in the winter are more pronounced than in the summer. So, taking St. Louis, for example, Missouri, USA, they claim they had the second warmest, or in line to be the second warmest year on record. And mainly it's because January 2024 was 10 degrees above average. And February was 6 degrees above average. So all the warmth of the year mostly was in January and February. Even if the rest of the year is just slightly above average, it's going to come out in the end as one of the warmest years on record, because those 2 months were very warm. I'm just taking one city as an example of how this works, if they can manipulate the jet stream to take a path that brings consistently warm temperatures and an airflow from the tropics all winter, they can fool people into believing that the Earth is boiling and we got runaway global warming. The truth is, the planet actually is not warming right now at all. In 2007, since 2007, the globe has not been warming at all. It's been cooling. That is why they started this manipulation first with hurricanes, because hurricanes were decreasing and it did not fit the agenda. And then snowfall, the trend reversed in around 2007, began increasing in places such as St. Louis and other areas. New York City had the first white Christmas in 15 years. I had mentioned on a few videos back that there's a possibility it could happen, although I wasn't very optimistic about it. But with the weather patterns of the MJOs flip-flopping between phase 7 and 4 and 5, I said that if it flip-flopped at the right time, it could happen, and it did. So, what is going to happen from here is hard to say with this winter. A lot of people are saying January is going to be a very cold month. At this point, I question that because, again, MJO manipulation is going on. And MJO today, at present, I know they say it's in phase 6. At least I've heard a meteorologist, but I look at the composite of where the convection is happening. It's never usually totally, exclusively only in one phase. Many times it's a couple, 2, 3 different phases at once, and it's a composite of wherever the convection is. And right now, convection there's a lot of convection, in phase 6. There's also a lot in the phase 4 zone, and some in the phase 5, and you got those three working together. You got convection in all 3 of those phases. It's going to be very warm for most of North America, very warm weather pattern, because it's a triple amplification. All 3 phases, even if one of them, it's going to be warm, but all 3 at once, it's a triple amplification. That's why St. Louis, Missouri, for example, last January was 10 degrees above average, because if you can keep it in those 3 phases for long periods of time, you get a consistent flow of air coming from the equator up into North America, from the Pacific. South of Baja comes across Mexico up into North America in those phases, and it's very easy to fool people into thinking that global warming, man's activities are causing it all. And yet other areas of the planet are getting a constant flow of Arctic air, such as the North Pacific. I've noticed a constant flow of air coming across the Sea of Okhotsk, between Kamchatka, Russia and northern Japan, there is a constant flow. The door is open to the Arctic there, and the Arctic air is being dumped from Siberia out into the North Pacific, modified, and then it hits the west coast as a Pacific air mass. Time it gets there, it's come across the whole North Pacific. The North Pacific has been extremely cold and stormy in recent weeks. That's evident by the wave height advisories all up and down the west coast, the entire Pacific. North Pacific is got wave heights unbelievable amounts because we have bomb cyclones circulating around the North Pacific. They come in on the west coast and then they turn north up toward Juneau, Alaska, and then they actually turn west back out and cross the Pacific again on an east to west path, come back into Kamchatka, come down toward northern Japan, and it's like a big circle that these storms are making. So none of these storms are really full brunt coming into North America. They're just coming into Washington State, causing record warm temperatures, bring a pineapple express up into these areas, and then they turn back to the west, north, and then back to the west. They don't come across, maybe a little piece of energy here and there might break off of them and come across southern Canada. And that's the reason why we're so warm, is because you got all that storminess over the North Pacific. It puts a high pressure ridge over North America with warmth, a flow of air from the equator coming northward. And this is by design. I don't believe it's by accident. It has happened too often. And it is not a net warming of the planet. It's the jet stream taking a certain path, coming down off the spine of this ridge now, to create warmth for the populated areas of the planet. So they hit the MJO, because the prediction is the MJO is going to go into phase 8 and 1 and when we hit January. Well, is that really going to happen? It depends. To have a cold winter for the eastern U.S., that convection in phase 4, 5, and 6 zones has got to go away. If that convection remains, even if you get convection in the phase 8, 1, or 7 zones, all it's going to do is become another flip-flop pattern or it will cancel each other out to where instead of getting cold in January, temperatures will just go back to normal for a time, and maybe we'll get a couple of more Alberta Clipper systems, but we're not going to get an East Coast winter storm unless that convection in those areas goes away in the phase 4, 5, and 6. You got to have that area clear of convection to get a decent run of cold weather in North America that lasts long enough to get a winter storm and bring the snowfall levels back to normal. So I feel that as long as this MJO manipulation keeps going on, it's going to, at best, become a seesaw pattern like it was earlier in December. We're not going to get an extended period of cold in January. If what I'm saying is correct, that they really are manipulating the MJO to stay in a certain phase, because when they do that, even when the MJO tries naturally to go into a colder phase, it gets canceled out by all the convection in those warm zones. It just basically cancels out that effect. So all these predictions of colder weather don't come to pass, or you may get a couple days of colder weather and then it warms right back up again once the convection phase 8, 1, zones fades out again, it goes back into phase 4, 5, and 6 again. So I'm now down off the spine of, that's the spine of Middle Mountain right there. I'm starting to head back down. And to come up here, I followed a spur. These ridgeline had spurs that lead out toward the valley, which offer a bit of an easier way to get up here. So the rest of the winter, should we stick a fork in it? It depends on how successful they are at this manipulation of the MJO. Here's a wildlife trail right here. I usually try to follow these because they offer, usually the animals are pretty smart. They know the easiest ways to get up and down these places, so I find the trail, I try to follow it. I'm going to turn down and start working my way down off this ridge. There is some rain, light showers in the vicinity, so I'm going to start heading down now. The organized area of rain is still well to our west here, so I have time to get back. I got a rain jacket just in case. So yeah, it's looking down the valley. There must be some light rain or mist falling. In that valley, I can't really see down there too well. But up here so far, I don't feel any raindrops as of yet. And the MJO manipulation is easy. Why is it easy? Because in a tropical convergence zone, there's always an uplift of air occurring in that region because that's where the northern and southern trade winds meet. It's usually in the vicinity of the equator. So there's always a tendency of rising air in that region. So you add energy to that rising air, you can enhance the convection cells to form in these areas. It's easy to do. That's why I say I really don't know how long. The manipulation is upsetting the balance of the heat in the earth. It will eventually backfire. How long it will take, it's hard to say. But it is upsetting the heat balance of the planet. Anything artificial upsets the balance of heat. Because the article that keeps coming to my mind, NASA, I see this article, well, they can't explain the sudden surge in warmth around the planet. Well, it's just another subtle ploy to get people to buy into man-made global warming. They say they can't explain why the Earth is suddenly 1.5 C above average. But the question is the Earth really that warm right now? Is it really that warm? when 71% of the planet is covered by oceans, how do they know the Earth is so warm? They claim satellites. How do they know what the average temperature is around the whole globe, especially over the oceans? I look out over the North Pacific every day. I see Arctic air pouring over that ocean every day. You know it's got to be cooling that ocean down a lot. And yet I look at these anomaly charts. They're claiming the North Pacific is boiling right now, especially further away from the West Coast. And yet I look at the satellite imagery. I see Arctic air from Siberia, excessive storminess, bomb cyclones all over the North Pacific, and they're claiming that the ocean there is record warm right now. Like I say, we're definitely being lied to. There's no way that could be true. Glaciers since 2020 have begun to advance in many areas. According to Google imagery I've looked at, if the Earth was 1.5 C above average, that wouldn't be happening. Glaciers have not advanced since 1850. It means that the Earth has become cooler in the last few years than it has been in a long time. The ice movements don't lie. I am working my way gradually on the side of this ridge line. And I'm getting down, as I do feel it's starting to mist a little bit now. But again, according to the radar, I did have a signal up there. There's just some couple of patches of very light rain approaching, mist maybe. Not going to amount to much. I got a few brambles here. Getting a stick, try to get them out of my way here. Again, there is no trail to get off this mountain with. What I usually do is I just find the clearest pathway down, the most free of underbrush and the least steep. I try to connect up with a spur ridge that will lead me to the valley. Right now I'm basically angling my way down in this direction for now. Trying to keep this video going. Now I'm falling on my face here. So, to conclude, should we stick a fork in this winter? There's Peters Mountain. It's barely visible through the moisture in the atmosphere. Should we stick a fork in this winter? Well, I don't fully understand the dynamics of MJO manipulation I just look at the images and I feel very strongly it's happening. I feel it started after the winter 2020-21 when New York City that December got a 10-inch snowfall. After that, all of a sudden the snow just stopped. And I see so many posts, oh well, when we used to get real snow, and it's only been 3 years since a real snowstorm happened in New York City. It's only been 2 to 3 years. It's not been like it's been 30 years. These people are talking like it's never going to happen again, that snow is a thing of the past. And it's easy to believe that with the weather patterns we've had lately. But there are other areas of the planet that are getting inundated with snow that nobody ever talks about. There is no real net global warming going on right now. It's a manipulation of the jet stream. Because if it's record warm in your backyard all winter long, most people are not going to question it. They're going to believe that, oh, look at that dead tree. That they're going to believe that man's the cause of it. Looks like I got a bit of a corridor straight down here. Well, I'm going to have to end this video. It is pretty steep through here. Found another bit of a wildlife trail here, but I don't know if I'm going to stay on it